G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English. Today I have a special interview episode for you guys, and this one is with Christian from Canguro English. So Christian's been on the podcast a couple of times now, and one of the other interviews that I did with him was episode 347, an interview with Canguro English. Go check that one out if you want to learn more about Christian. But in today's episode, I asked him to come on because I wanted to chat to him about the biggest issues he sees that are out there with regards to teachers and the way they teach English, so the way that English is taught, and also the way in which English is learnt by English learners, obviously. So today Christian has 6 tips that we're going to go through one by one on how to better learn English or how English should be better taught. So 6 main issues that he sees with the way in which it's taught and learnt. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into it. And again, thank you, Christian, for coming on the podcast. Let's go. G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English. I have Christian back again, and today it's going to be a bit of a bitch fest. It's going to be a bit of a complaining session, I guess, about how English is taught and how English is often learnt by English as a second language learner. So we want to talk about it, have a bit of a chat, and I know Christian, I'm always following him at Canguro English on his Instagram, his YouTube, and his Facebook page. If you haven't, follow him, but he's always complaining, he's always bitching about how people are learning English or teaching English wrong. And so I wanted him on the podcast to discuss this with me. So Christian, welcome.
Thanks. Thanks, Pete. Thanks so much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I'm sorry that I come across as so much of a complainer.
You don't. It's a good complaining, you know. It's like you smile whilst you're doing it. So I don't feel as bad inside. I feel like, here come the knowledge bombs. I'll put my helmet on. I'll get some cover. And then I'm ready to receive the onslaught of how I'm teaching English wrong.
Yeah. Well, I try to bring everything with positivity, as you say. It's negativity with a smile, right?
Exactly, and the purpose of it is to build confidence. It's to give people, it's to empower people who are learning English and to sort of alleviate their anxiety with regards to, am I good enough? Should I make mistakes? Am I good enough to talk to other people? Blah, blah, blah. So I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you asked me to sort of think about the things that I think are wrong with the world of English teaching. And so I came up with a list of 6 things. And the first thing on my list, which I think is the biggest problem, is what I call false promises. So can I guess what this is relating to?
Please, yeah. Is this relating to teachers, teaching people who are learning English and giving them the idea that they can become native speakers, or?
Yeah, exactly. So there's, for example, people saying you can have a native accent, you can get fluent in 30 days, you can be like a native speaker in X amount of time.
See, that's one of those things where I think that's true, but it depends, right? It depends on how much time you're talking about. It depends on how obsessive the learner is, and it depends on their raw talent for, so not everyone can do it, but it depends on the person, right? Because there are definitely people I've met where I've been blown away to know they've been speaking English for 5, even 10 years, and I would never have known they were foreign.
Yeah, no, look, sure, of course. Everybody's individual level of motivation is different, and yeah, some people are obsessive and they can produce incredible results within a year. You can have people who are very confident, able to not only speak but listen and have a really engaging conversation, of course. But I think the thing is more that I think the philosophy in general about what it means to learn a language is very similar to the idea of healthy eating and exercise.
I was about to draw that analogy.
Because my sister's a fitness instructor.
Oh wow.
And
Okay. Yep.
when she talks with me about the whole idea of being healthy and exercise, it's there's so many similarities, because
Yep.
the reason that people fail at diets, they try to lose, I don't know, 10 kilos in a month. Maybe you'll do it through dehydration and malnutrition, but really, like, healthy living and a healthy life is not something you do for 30 days and then it's over. It's like
Exactly.
a mentality. It's a commitment for life. And I think
I had to tell my dad
language
that
learning
recently.
should be the same, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had to tell my dad that. My dad has had trouble with his weight for a lot of his life. And I remember recently, like, he's been on diet, lost 10 kilos, he's gained it again. He's been on a diet, he's lost 12 kilos, he's gained it again. And I had to say to him, I'm like, Dad, you can't just treat this like it's a short-term thing. This is your life, your habits, your behavior, your psychology has to change permanently. It doesn't have to change overnight, like, dramatically, but you have to be thinking of it more like these are habits you're trying to build to use forever, as opposed to, I'll just do this for 30 days and then I'll be sweet for the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other problem with false promises is if somebody has the idea that learning a language is something that sort of begins and ends,
Yes.
that you can do in 90 days, when the 90 days is up, and of course they haven't got very far at all, because you can't do anything in 90 days. When the time is up, what do? They quit.
Yep.
So you have a whole generation of people quitting, giving up, because nobody tells them, hey, if you're going to do this, it's just like a dog.
Yeah.
It's not just for Christmas.
Exactly.
It's for
Yeah,
life.
exactly. And it's almost false expectations too, right? I remember I was learning a language in high school, French, and I thought, I could, if I wanted, I would go to France, and I would learn French fluently if I really wanted to get good at it, and I would just spend a year there, and then I would be good forever. That's it. And you realize that's not the case, and that it is. I used to get so sick of people telling me, you're just good at French. You're just naturally good at, like, people who are like, you're just thin naturally. It's not that you exercise and you eat well and that you work your ass off. You're just like this. And you're like, that's such trash. You just have to rearrange those thoughts in your head and realize that anyone can do this. It's just not that anyone can do this easily and quickly. It's that you have to get the expectations in your head that this is a long commitment. It requires hard work, and it requires consistent hard work, right?
Yes, exactly. And when you stop, your skills disappear.
Exactly.
It's not like you say, okay, you learn French for 1 year and then it's good, but if you don't do it for another 5 years, it's gone.
Well, man, I wish I could go out and, run a marathon or two and then just hit pause on my physique, and that's it. Forever I'll be ripped, I'll have a six-pack, and I'll eat what I want. But it's just, it's not like that, is it?
No, it's not. And so for me, that's problem number one.
So what mindset should people come in with? How should people be thinking about learning a language if they're, say you meet a new student tomorrow who's picked up English, it's the first language he's ever attempted to learn. What would you say, okay, these are the expectations you need to have?
I think there is definitely individual variation. Like, as you said before, I think if the person is highly motivated, especially if they need it if they're going to move to the country, or they live in the country, or they're going to have a job, they're more motivated. They're going to advance faster.
Yeah.
So, you could say, well, if you work really hard, you're going to get fast results.
Yeah.
I would expect you to be able to maintain, a really good conversation within sort of 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
Not grammatically perfect, sure, with misunderstandings and bad pronunciations, but But another person who maybe is who wants to do it more as a hobby, has an interest in languages, wants to go to class once a week, study a little bit at home, then that's something that that your expectations are different in 10 years, maybe.
Exactly.
20 years. I think part of the mindset is when you know what you're getting into, then you can adjust your expectations.
Yeah.
Right? Then you can say, okay, I'm willing to work really hard. I'm not. I know that I'm going to be able to speak, or I'm not. It's like...
And you have to be honest with yourself. How much can you handle? And I think too, you need to be consistent. Even if it's a little bit, do it every single day, consistent. And I remember jiu-jitsu when I was learning that when I first started it. I remember my coach, I said, I'm not that talented, I can do this, but I wish I was talented because I'd be so much better, so much faster. And he just said to me, hard work and consistency will kick the shit out of talent any day of the week.
It's so right. It's so right. I mean, anybody who's successful at anything, business, sports, they'll tell you that they always seem like an overnight success.
Yeah.
But
we only see the final product. Yeah. Exactly.
My favorite example of this is success is like being pregnant. Everybody says congratulations, but nobody knows how many times you were.
So does that mean that you and I are never going to know what success is?
Maybe.
All right. So number two, workbooks. What's wrong with workbooks? Isn't that how you learn?
Workbooks. I have a real problem with workbooks, and I think. Okay, this is what I think. I think that workbooks are necessary. I think that people should have some type of book where they can, look at grammar and do activities and sort of have a more like a study mode, like a study moment in the day. But my problem is that people use them as 100% of learning.
Yeah.
Especially bad teachers. And I'm talking about teachers, especially in public education. I remember when I learned French, we had a book. Did you have a book in your class?
Yeah, absolutely. It was crap.
Yeah, it was awful. I hated that book. And that's all we did. All we did every day was the book.
But that's the teachers, the teachers come in, they're like, okay, I have to teach this lesson, tick, done, like, I did my bit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, there is no faster way to kill motivation and interest and joy than the workbook. Surely there isn't. Is there a faster way to make people hate a language than giving them a workbook?
Exactly. You've got to be that kind of person. For me, I love them, but it's kind of like I have to be in the mood. I have to be I use them as a reference. I depending on how much I hate myself, I'll work through the whole book. If I really want to, if I'm starting a new language, I might pick a really basic grammar book and I'll just go, okay, you know what? I'm just going to, for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm just going to go through each exercise. But after that, it's kind of like, I just use it as a reference. I don't fixate over it. I want to get out there and use the language to read, to watch TV, to interact with people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, it could never be, as part of any language learning program, it could never be 100% because it's just not, all the other components that are so important, like listening. Yeah. I mean, listening is so important. Not just being able to catch the words, but really, really listening.
Well, that's the funny thing with listening, right? Initially, you're like, okay, shit, I need to catch every single word when I hear people, or else I'm failing. And you realize as a native speaker, I don't catch every word you say. I don't even pay attention. I get the meaning. The meaning kind of hits me. And then I sort of induce, or I deduce or what you've said as a result of just being smacked with the meaning of all those phrases. I don't think he said, what are you doing today? It's just bang, the message. And so the quicker you can get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I developed this when I was learning Spanish. I developed this habit, and even to this day, I don't know whether it was good or bad. Is that I would pretend that I could understand people perfectly, even when I was only catching 1 or 2 words, because the other option for me was too painful. To stop people and say, "Sorry, what?" I mean, because not only do they hate it, because they have to speak to you like you're like a baby, but I hated it because then they treated me like a baby. So I just sort of sat there like, even though I was only catching 5% of the meaning.
And that's the worst thing, when they ask you a complex question and you're like, yes, no. And they're like, what time are you getting here tomorrow? Yes.
Or do you agree with what Hitler did? Yes. See.
Oh, geez. So what do you do in that case then? If you don't think, if you encourage people to sort of go along with conversations and not sort of break it up by constantly asking people to repeat themselves, what do you suggest people do? Is it okay to not understand 100% and just let it flow? Is there a threshold?
Absolutely. I think if you're, it's really important to learn to understand language from context.
Yeah.
And as you said, a lot of meaning, a lot of words are sort of superfluous. A lot of words, we don't really need them. They're there for maybe grammar reasons or for reasons of politeness or whatever. If you're sort of catching a large proportion of the meaning, then I would say keep going, because at least then what you're receiving is realistic input.
Yeah.
Because you're not forcing people.
I love that aspect in Portuguese. My girlfriend often says stuff to me, and she'll be like, "Do you understand?" And I say yes, and then she'll be like, "Can you say what I said?" And I'm like, "No," but I understood. Like, I totally understood. I just it was so fast, the meaning hit me, but I don't know the words. Like,
well, no, but that's the thing. But I mean, do you feel like it's helpful to you to sort of to go with it?
That's it. I kind of prefer that. And again, like you, I feel awkward asking constantly for people to repeat themselves. There's a time and a place for that. If she and I are chatting at night and I really want to know, what did you just say? What's this word? How do I use it? Of course. But if you're interacting with people in the street or people you don't know, or even other situations with friends, and there's a certain flow happening in the conversation, you don't want to be the one constantly like, what did you say? What did you say? What did you say? And I think it's a good sign when you get to the point where you do understand, even though you miss bits, and you can let that go. If you get to the point where you can relax and you can allow it sort of to wash over you, and you don't have to analyze everything under a microscope, then you're most of the way there, and it's going to happen faster, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, this is not based in any type of research. I don't know if empirically it is actually better or not, but I feel like my instinct tells me it's good. Exactly. I mean, if you're understanding nothing, then of course, no, that's not good. But if you're getting meaning, if you can sort of maintain that conversation, then great. I say go with it.
Exactly. You're allowed for things to drop out a bit. Oh, I didn't get that, but now I'm back in the game. You can miss bits, hear bits, and that's kind of how it goes. Yeah. So number 3, outdated teaching.
Outdated teaching philosophy. Oh man. Well, let me tell you a little sort of story because I live in Spain, and out of the teaching sort of philosophies that I've encountered personally, I think that Spain is one of the most sort of outdated. Yeah. Traditional.
Have you been to France?
I haven't ever taught in France, no. So I couldn't say.
It's not sorry to dig at French people. I know a lot of French people. I know a lot of people who've learned English in France, and they hate the way that they have been taught it, and it's a constant complaint that I hear. Yeah, I mean,
well, speaking about teaching.
Hold on a sec. Hold on. Speaking about, what did you say?
Speaking about teaching that I have encountered personally, I have limited personal contact with being in those teaching environments, but I hear the same story from students all over the world. So I'm sure that it's a universal problem. Right? This is that. So I'll tell you the story. So in Spain, in order to get a job for the public service, you don't just submit your CV and then they sort of look through the CVs and choose the best applicants. No, they have these competitive state exams, and the people who perform best in the state exams get the job.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when I tell you this, you're not even going to believe that it's even real, I promise. So each exam may have, let's say, 30 different potential topics, right? So if you want to be an English teacher, there are 30 different possible things they can test you on in the exam, right? But they go really deep with each topic. And so they only actually test you on 2 out of the possible 30.
Yeah.
So they have a machine, right? It's like a lottery machine with the balls. So they spin the lottery machine and they pick out the ball, and the ball might say, I don't know, phrasal verbs. And then they spin the machine again and they take out another ball which might say, I don't know, modal verbs. And then you have to, then you're examinated.
You're examined.
Examined. Oh my God, I can't believe I don't even know the
English brain farts for the win. Examined, yeah.
You're examined on those two things, right?
Yeah.
But what it means is when you're preparing for the exam, you need to study all 30 of these things. So people go to these special preparation classes, and they study sometimes they study for 2 years, repeating these 30 possible subjects.
Yeah.
And this is the scary part. They actually call it cantar las temas, which means to sing the topics. Because the teacher says, okay, let's do phrasal verbs. And you literally repeat like a robot, like you're singing all of the phrasal verb stuff. And that is not learning.
That's how to teach you to remember something, whether or not you know how to use it, right?
Exactly. That's just memorization. That's not learning. Learning is really understand something.
I can memorize a song in Spanish, but not know what it means, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is that philosophy of memorization, repetition, kill and drill, whatever you want to call it, I think it pervades a lot of teaching.
I hate that aspect. It doesn't support the idea that improvisation is the real thing you want to teach people. You want to teach people how they can improvise and how they can, work on their feet. How they can deal with situations. They don't necessarily have to just remember, oh, this is the situation, this is the answer. Is it that proverb from the Bible, right? You give a man a fish and you fed him for a day, but you teach him to fish and you fed him for life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe you had a similar experience with your French at high school. We had in the workbook, we had these like conversations, these imaginary conversations like, bonjour, ça va, je voudrais un croissant, right?
Yeah.
And so you sort of memorize these phrases, but you memorize the phrase, so you memorize the exact phrase. You don't understand that phrase you have a person, a pronoun, then you have a verb, and the verb changes depending if it's I and you.
Yeah.
So when you arrive in France and somebody deviates from this script, just one tiny bit, you're lost.
Yeah.
You're totally lost. And too much teaching, I think, is based in this old philosophy of repetition. It's not what I consider learning.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if that's
It is irritating. It's right. It's like there's a path through the jungle, right? And you can see along the path. You know how to take the path. You could take it blindfolded, and someone walks up to you and pushes you slightly off the path, and you're fucked.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, I can see the end and I can see the start, but I don't know what to do. I'm just going to die right here.
Exactly. I mean, because the French that you have now is from high school, or
no? I crapped all over my high school 6 years of French. I surpassed that in 6 months of self-study from just following my passion. Right? I did the Duolingo thing, and then I studied a few grammar books, and I systematically worked through 2 of them, and then I effectively threw them in the trash and just started reading books. I read like Harry Potter 1 to 5, watched TV, watched movies, and it was much more about talking with people after that. So it was kind of like I worked hard at the start for a few months, and then I just went over it, and I just want to dive in, because now I have the tools for me to work out how to do this, how to use this, and how to improvise, and that was more what I wanted.
Well, I mean, and this is the thing, and I think anybody listening to this needs to take note that Pete just said that he condensed 6 years of bad teaching into 6 months.
Well,
and that's the thing, is that people
and not learn anything, right?
Yeah, but I think some people have this idea that you're only going to get results if somehow it's not enjoyable.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The same as exercise. People think that it has to be horrible to lose weight, that you have to suffer through the diet. to lose weight. No, you can have a great time, eat delicious food, and still get the results.
And it's the false expectations and changing your psychology. You have to start enjoying the process. And if you're not enjoying the process, what the hell are you doing? Why even bother?
Yeah.
If you don't actually like what you're doing, do something else. Stop learning English. If you hate it and it's a punishment, I'm telling you now, stop learning. Go and do something you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the philosophy for life, right? Surely, as well.
Exactly, yeah. What the hell are you doing, Yeah. I was watching something today, I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk, who's this online guru with regards to business online, and he was like, do you want to earn $119,000 a year being an accountant, or do you want to earn $89,000 a year selling Star Wars figurines online? It's like, take that hit. If this is what you enjoy for less money, do that, then earn a little bit more for something you freaking hate. And it was like, that message was just like, that hit home. I'm like, exactly. I keep always thinking, I want to be rich. I want this, I want that. And it's like, do I want that? Would I actually use it? Do I care? No. So
yeah, exactly. I love Gary Vee. I think he's great. I think he cuts through so much nonsense.
No bullshit. Exactly.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. Exactly. I think that there are a couple of that's someone that maybe students who are listening to this should follow, because a lot of his philosophy applies to not just learning languages, but to everything. Yeah,
exactly. So. And he's like, you can be the best. You can be the best at whatever you want, but one, you got to work out: is it something you want to do? There's no point in trying to be the best at something you hate. You're wasting your life. And two, it's like, you just have to know that you have to work at it. Bust ass. Work harder than everyone else. And so, bringing it back to English, if you're learning and you hate it, you don't have to give up English. Reassess how the hell are you learning, and how can you turn it into something you enjoy. You don't like using a grammar book? Piss the grammar book off. Read Harry Potter. Read about cars. Watch YouTube channels on science in English. Find your passion already. Do it in English, or find a way of making it fun and enjoyable. But don't give up on English if you're having a shit time. Reassess how you're doing that. It's like with exercise for me. I fucking hate running. Okay, but that doesn't mean I say I'm never going to exercise ever again. You know what? Screw exercise. I don't like running, so therefore no exercise. It's okay. I'll try swimming. I'll try jiu-jitsu. I'll try karate. I'll do something else with my body, but I'll still exercise.
Yeah. I agree 100% with everything you just said. And the best thing is, I love that you used "piss off" as a verb to mean to like to eliminate something.
Piss it off. Yeah.
That's such an Aussie verb.
Exactly. Right. Number four. Don't focus on fear.
I wrote that badly.
Okay. Okay.
What I actually meant was that I think that a lot of teaching doesn't deal with the fact that a lot of students actually are really afraid of ever using their language.
Yeah.
And it was a shock to me to discover that was such a big problem. I think that I would say, in my experience, at least 50% of people, they have this language, but they're totally afraid.
Yeah.
They're totally paralyzed and mortified and terrified of ever speaking, because they think their accent is bad and their grammar is terrible and people are going to laugh at them. And I think it's a big part of teaching should be helping people to overcome this fear.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly. That's a big problem, and that's something I face too, learning a foreign language. But I think it is one of those things where the more you do it, the less important it is. And you've got to remember too, it's like, here's a good story. I remember Ayaan Hirsi Ali, right? She wrote this book about being Islamic, growing up in Somalia, and she had to leave Somalia and she had to go to Holland. And she had been taught her entire life that if she took the hijab off, that she would be yelled at, that people would accost her, that she could be raped, she could be assaulted. And she went to Holland with these huge fears of just wearing the hijab and being an openly Muslim person to begin with, and nothing happened. And then after a few months, she decided, I'm going to take the hijab off because I want to blend in, even though I'm worried that God might smite me, whatever. She did it, and she realized it wasn't a big issue. Everyone ignored her. No one cared. And I feel like, it's a bit of it's a bit of a on the side story, but the idea here is, I guess, that often you have all these fears in your head and you're worried about all these things happening, and then you go out and do the thing and you realize that it's completely unfounded and that no one gives a shit. No one cares about your mistake. No one is going home after a conversation with you and like has a list of the errors that you made and is sitting in a dark room laughing, you know, and drinking a beer.
Did you hear him using his pronouns? What a fool.
No one cares. No one remembers. No one remembers. You remember maybe, but no one else remembers, and no one cares. People want to understand you. They want to communicate with you, and that's it. If you make a mistake, as long as you can get your point across and communicate, no one gives a shit. And if they do, they're not the kind of person you should be talking to.
No, exactly. I think anybody who's feeling afraid, that's the message. Nobody cares. It's like maybe you don't want to go to the beach in a bikini because you're worried that you're too fat. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Nobody's looking at you.
No one cares. They're too busy worried about what everyone else thinks of them.
Exactly. And I think everybody, even native speakers, have sort of their own fears about maybe about their accent, because native speakers also have their own problems. Like you have a posh accent or a common accent, or maybe you don't know the vocabulary to talk about fancy things, like you don't know how to have a conversation about the economy, or these things are not just limited to foreign learners, and I think foreign learners need to realize that native speakers are not perfect either.
Exactly.
At all.
And you have to learn. You have to be. I think it's one of those things too. The older you get, the more your distance grows between when you're a beginner at something and you're too used to, at least the majority of people are too used to being experts at something, a small field, and they're not prepared to take up that position of being a child, that asking questions, not understanding something because they think I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50 years old, I can't be a beginner. That's embarrassing. I can't be taught English by someone who's half my age. And it's like, you get some humility. This isn't about you. No one cares. They want you to do well. Like the average person in an encounter with English in the street, right, is more interested in helping you than, oh my God, this person just said that when they meant A. No one gives a shit. I think just remember, you are not that important to every stranger in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%.
So you're right there.
Number 5.
Exams.
Woof. Exams.
Yes.
Here's what I think's wrong with exams. So, I have this really good. I have a really good student. She's a friend. She's a professor at the University of Barcelona.
Wow.
And one day we were talking about exams, and I was like, I hate exams.
Yes.
I never do exams at my school. Exams are the worst things. They're shit. I hate them. And she said, listen, Christian, I understand what you mean, but exams have a really important purpose. And I was like, no, they don't. You don't know what you're talking about. And she said, she said, exams are an opportunity for teachers to assess the students and see where they have problems.
Yeah.
So that then they can help them to solve the problems. And I was like,
isn't it too late by the time they work that out? At least for the students that took that exam, maybe next year's students.
But she's absolutely right. This is apart from maybe what your government or your school wants to use the exam to create, a measurement to say, is this school performing as well as this school? I mean, that's a different thing. But I'm talking about in the classroom for the student. The real purpose of an exam should be so the teacher can help the student with their problems. But what's happened now is exams are seen as the end result. They are seen as the reason to study. And it's totally backwards.
Yeah.
They should be giving exams at the beginning of the classes and then working on the problems.
Well, if that's the goal, right? If the goal is to work out what people don't know, it's kind of like maybe find that out first after, instead of afterwards, instead of at the end of the year when it's too late for the people you're trying to help.
Exactly. And so for me, that's the first problem, is that they're used as almost like a type of punishment.
Yeah.
And so people have developed this this hatred. I mean, if you mention the word exam to students, they're like, "Oh my god."
Well, I think the thing that irks me too is that too often they're about memory and not about understanding or about improvisation. It's too much. Do you remember this verb and what it means? And it's like, no, but I could use my English to go around that and solve whatever problem I would have by not knowing that verb.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, they're not realistic. You know, another problem is that students feel that if they have a good result in an exam, then they have good English. Or if they have a bad result in an exam, they have bad English. But the two things are not related at all.
Yeah.
As you say, maybe you don't know, maybe you do terribly in an exam, but put that person in a conversation and they're engaging and funny, and, you know, it's like, it's just a tiny part of being a good language learner, right?
Exactly. So I do think you're right. You need to focus a lot less on that and measuring yourself against how well you do in exams. And again, just, reassess, you know, get those false expectations out of the way. Stop thinking about those things and think, can I use English in my daily life? Can I communicate? And that's a lot more important. Even if you fail an exam, you could pass it with 100%, but if you can't communicate with people, that means fuck all, right? That means nothing. 100 out of 100 on a piece of paper doesn't mean you can ask for milk or get directions to the shops.
Yeah, and it's the same thing as like nobody cares. You know, as you said, like if nobody cares about your mistakes, but also nobody cares about your certificate.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a conversation and you're terrible at conversation, you can't say, well, here, look at my Cambridge certificate.
Please respect me. There's 100 out of 100 here that I got in grade 3 on an English exam. I know.
Nobody cares.
It doesn't mean anything.
Nobody cares.
Exactly.
No, and
that's it.
And I think, you know, when and this is a problem that sometimes teachers, they can't escape when they are forced by their school administration to teach to the test. It's like the students need to learn this because this is in the exam.
Yeah.
And so teachers get caught in this cycle of having to just tick the boxes.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a fight that teachers need to have, you know, with their administration, and they need to have that fight because what we're raising a generation of people who just know how to regurgitate information.
Well, they're not.
It's
You know, I think I was watching something today online, a documentary, an interview with Stefan Molyneux. I'm always talking to my girlfriend about this. She's going to rage up, but he was saying something like, people go to school for 12 years in the Western society and they leave with the ability to get a job as a waiter. They get 12 years of education and all they come out with is the ability to work in a cafe. Like, what the hell? And that's from studying for exams. They could have gotten 100% on every exam they've ever taken, and they aren't qualified for anything when they leave school. So I think our system, the way it's set up, is broken. And
well, I've never thought about it in exactly that way, Pete. But that's quite a shocking. It's a shocking summary of the reality, actually.
Well, it's just sad. It's sad, you know, to think that everything hinges upon whether or not you do well, and even if you do, you're not necessarily set up for anything good. So again, you know, with English, learn English, but, you know, upskill yourself. Try and use it to do other things. Don't just worry about getting a certain score thinking that's going to help you. If you can use your English and go and get a job or get work experience or do, you know, anything else, those relationships you build with English are going to mean so much more than a mark on a piece of paper. Yeah,
absolutely. Exactly. And that sort of leads into my final sort of thought.
This isn't a criticism, though. This is positive. This is a positive one.
Have fun. Have fun. That's it. Number 6 is have fun. I think that if you're not having fun, then not only are you probably not learning, but also you're probably not going to continue. You're going to give up because you got to have fun, and there's not enough focus on fun in the classroom.
Well, but there's not enough focus on fun with anything anyone's learning, right? The same with exercise. It shouldn't be seen as a punishment, something you hate. It should be seen as something you enjoy. Those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. You know, self-improvement is dreadful, and fun is gluttony and self-indulgence. It's like, no, we can push those two things together.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's effortless, right? It just takes over.
Yeah, it is true, and again, it seems to be this similarity between sort of healthy life and exercise as long-term commitments, and also, learning a language. There's fun. You got to have fun, otherwise you're not going to do it.
And that's what I think it comes back to teaching in the classroom. The problem is that the teacher has this idea in their head of this is how I have to teach, and that all the students have to be exactly the same so I can measure them against one another. But no one enjoys the same stuff. Everyone has different hobbies. And so I think people need to view learning English that same way, through the lens of what do I already enjoy and how can I do this in English. So that's where I think classes with regards to learning anything are going to become so much more functional and enjoyable when teachers are going to be empowered to empower their students to learn by having fun, whatever metric that is. If it's a kid who likes learning about cars on YouTube in English, bam, do that for an hour as opposed to reading this book. And another student who likes reading Harry Potter, go do that for an hour. It's so important to be enjoying what you're doing, and it's not work. It doesn't seem like work.
No, I agree 100%. We need to give teachers back the freedom that they don't seem to have anymore. The freedom to just sing a song in class, or to just sit in the corner and read a book. And the sad thing is that when they do these limited trials in schools with more freedom, they always produce better results.
Yeah.
But we're so reluctant to change. We feel like it has to be horrible, or you're not learning. You have to have the list and do the repetition. But the truth is no. And I hope it changes. I hope that you and I see it change soon.
Well, that's it. And I think people need to just one good anecdote I guess I have, again, with my girlfriend Kel, is quite often, and she's lying in front of me here, so she's gonna laugh. Quite often we just swear at each other in Portuguese. So she'll just call me the filthiest things, and I'll be like, what is this, and what does it mean, and how do I, and then I'll make up some story. And again, it's all about having fun, and as a result I kind of learn the gravity of different swear words too, because I'll look something up and then I'll use it and she'll be like, that was too far. That was too far. So it's kind of like, it's all about having fun, and you're just mucking around and just playing, and it doesn't have to be, serious 100% of the time.
No, exactly. You're so right. And, well, I hope that one day soon I can hang out with you guys, because I think it would be great fun.
Oh man, I think there's a lot of changeover between Portuguese and Spanish with regards to swear words.
Definitely. And for some reason, a lot of the swear words involve milk. I don't know if it's the same in Portuguese.
I don't think so. Do many of the swear words in Portuguese involve milk? No, she's shaking her head. So apparently in Spanish they do. Yeah, most of the swear words involve your bottom in Portuguese.
Yep. Yeah, I can understand that.
Exactly. All right, so before finishing up, what would your key suggestions be to people listening for how to learn English? How would you suggest they go about it if they've been doing all the wrong things? What is sort of a small, quick summary of some advice that you could give them for how to jazz things up a bit, mix it up, and make it more interesting?
I think the first thing they should do is forget about the whatever relationship they had with studying in the past. Like you with your French in high school, whatever happened in the past, it's over. Okay,
yeah.
That wasn't really learning. Okay, and today's a new day, and it's a new start, and your aim should be, I think, if it really, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous because we just spent an hour talking about in these detailed points, but I think that your objective should only be to have fun.
Yeah.
And if you do that, everything else will come with it.
That's true. That's true. Fun before everything else.
Yeah, I think, why not? Why not?
I think too, and if you're having fun, you tend to sort of let your guard down a bit, and you don't focus as much on your insecurities and your problems, and your fears sort of, get quenched a little bit. They get pushed down. They're not as much of a problem, and you can just enjoy yourself and enjoy the moment.
Exactly.
All right, well, that's a challenge for you listeners. How can you make learning English right now more fun than it currently is? And if you're not having fun at all, what the fuck are you doing? Change it up, do something, for the sake of English, change it up, do something else.
Agree.
Awesome. Well, Christian, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of laughs.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah. No, I had a great time. It was really good, and I feel totally cleansed now. I feel like I got all of the negativity out of my system.
So he's good for the
I
rest
hope
of the
you feel
day.
the same.
For the rest of the day
Yeah.
this week. So where can people
Yeah.
find out more about you, mate? Where can they see more of your knowledge bombs?
Well, on my website, cangoroenglish.com, there are links to my YouTube channel, Facebook group, Instagram, podcasts. You know,
have a
it's
website
2018.
now.
In
What
2018,
happened?
you have to be everywhere.
What happened, man? Oh, you'd gone like 3 years with no website. You were like, I don't need this. What happened? You're selling out.
No, it's just a basic website with links. That's all, Pete. That's all.
That's all good. A landing page is all you need. Awesome, dude. Well,
Yeah, exactly.
everyone who's listening, go and check him out. He's another Australian as well, obviously, if you haven't worked that out from the accent. So if you want to learn from another Australian English teacher, check Christian out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud. Check out his podcast too. It's much more in depth than mine. I think you put a lot more effort into your podcast than mine.
Mine's my opportunity to be really nerdy.
Yeah.
It's my little.
Have you
my
come
safe
up with
space.
a sort of routine for that yet, or is it just still sporadic? Are those episodes just whenever you feel like dropping one?
I'm trying to do one every 2 weeks, but yeah, it depends on if I'm inspired or not.
Man, just remember to keep having fun.
True.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll chat to you soon. See ya.
Cheers.
All right, guys, so I hope you enjoy that episode. Remember to check out Canguro English, whether it's on YouTube, on Facebook, or on his website. Just go to Google and search kangaroo, but it's spelt as the Spanish would spell this, Canguro, and then English, Canguro English. And he is another Australian who is obviously teaching English. And so if you're interested in Australian English, in learning the Australian accent and obviously improving your English at the same time, Christian's channel, website, and Facebook group and page are all resources that I thoroughly recommend that you guys use. So until next time, guys, I will chat to you later. See ya.